Eyes on target. Now I'm feeling it. Don't lose your head. Enemy mark. Target my mark!
Hostilities contained.
Stay down! Trust me, you deserve it! Don't lose your head!
What's going on, YouTubers? Today's video I want to provide some tips and tricks for execution and how to become diamond in execution. And I'm going to tell you guys right off the bat that execution is the hardest game mode out of all Gears of War game modes, and it's also the most old school one. It's basically the first game mode to be introduced in Gears of War, and many Gears of War veterans know that execution was the game mode. And where did I begin? For people that are very familiar with Warzone, basically that's what execution is, but the difference is that you have to kill your opponent up close if you're not using a power weapon. So if you're using a Gnasher, shotgun, or sniper pistol and you down them across the map, you're not going to be able to finish that person off. And not only that, when you're tapping A, like in Team Deathmatch, you could get right back up to life. So, but the thing is, guys, in execution, it's like very important to stay alive, because once you die, that's it. You'll have one life, and there's only 5 rounds in the game. So whoever wins 5 rounds before anybody else wins the game. And this game mode is very tough. And guys, I'm gonna tell you this right at the bat. All of the toughest Gears of War players I have faced are in execution. When I was playing Team Deathmatch in rank, or you guys know what I mean, like, you know, core rank matches, or King of the Hill, or Warzone, guys, execution by far has the hardest players. Like, everybody combined in those game modes don't even meet, how should I say it? Don't even like meet the expectations against those players in execution. That's how hard they really are, and those players really gave me a hard time. But execution is definitely my favorite game mode. It took me a long time to play this game mode for many reasons. Start things off, why it took you so long to get into this game mode is because, well, I was playing Gears of War 4 on the PC for the longest, and I never bought an Xbox to get into it, and the PC community was really dead until Coalition decided that cross-platform was meant for every single game mode. And that's when I was so happy to be able to play, because the only way for me to play matches was social matches. I couldn't play any ranked matches whatsoever because I was so goddamn dead. But now that I'm able to play against ranked matches, I finally decided to play execution, and man, it's so much fun. I miss the old school style game mode the way it is. But now everybody's into Team Deathmatch for some odd reason. I like Team Deathmatch, I'm not gonna lie to you, but it's not the true Gears of War, you know, mode. It's not the way it should be. But, you know, Coalition and Epic Games had to find a way to keep the game going and keep it from being very boring. So they decided to put Team Deathmatch, and it changed the gameplay. It really changed the Gears of War gameplay forever, if you quite think about it, because it's the most played game mode of all game modes, and it's not even meant for Team Deathmatch. Like, there's so many Gears of War 4 maps, or any Gears of War maps, are not really meant for Team Deathmatch for many reasons. But other than that, guys, I'm gonna like continue talking about how you're gonna be able to survive and what tips and tricks I could provide you in execution. For the first tip, guys, I really advise you is you gotta learn how to use a Lancer, the Master Shotgun, and the Snap Pistol for many reasons. All three weapons play such a huge important role, and you gotta be able to learn how to use them, obviously. Like, for example, the Lancer is able to stop enemies, down enemies, even though you can't really finish them off until you get close range, but it doesn't matter. If you constantly use a Lancer, and you, especially if you active reload it, and you stop enemies from picking up power-up weapons, you're basically going to change the gameplay forever, and especially your teammates too. If your teammates can use the Lancer for many reasons, then there you go. This is what I see every time. I see many players in Execution thinking that they could just use a Master Shotgun all the time and rush people. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Why would you want to rush a Master Shotgun all the time on power weapons or stopping enemies from picking up? What if the opponent lancers you down, and then that's pretty much game over? You guys gotta remember that once you die one time, that's it. And another tip and trick right here is, guys, is that your teammates need to stay alive. You guys gotta learn how to survive, and basically you gotta figure out how you're gonna be able to outsmart your opponents most of the time. And that becomes very important on maps like Gridlock or any other map if you know it by heart. If you guys can be able to use those weapons and stop opponents from picking up the power weapons and use it to crossfire on enemies, then pretty much you're gonna win Execution most of the time. And you know, rushing the Master Shotgun isn't always the solution. That's what I always see. But if you play King of the Hill, for example, you're gonna see many opponents just using the Master Shotgun. Even the raid matches, believe it or not. I feel like people just only play that game mode to practice under Master Shotgun, which that's not a bad idea in my opinion. That's a really great way to start off. But using the Lancer, Master Shotgun, and the Snap Pistol plays a huge role. But another thing is, guys, you guys gotta learn to use the Master Shotgun at the right time too. And wall bouncing and learning how to pump action shotgun and active reloading becomes a really huge role in this game mode. If you're able to master 3 starting weapons, then you'll become a very difficult opponent to take down. Guys, the next tip and trick I advise you guys is holding up power weapons and stopping enemies from picking you up, and eventually when you overpower your enemies, then you can pick up yourself and use it towards your advantage. There's some players out there in Execution or any Gears of War game mode that I've been playing is some people don't really pay attention to them. It's very strange. Like, why would you not want the boom shot or the drop shot or the long shot rifle towards your advantage? But it sounds weird, guys, when you're listening to this, but I'm telling you guys, I see this a lot. And I'm sure some people out there see a lot at the same time too, but I don't know what it is. I see it happening all the goddamn time. It's ridiculous. Now, guys, the next tip and trick I advise you guys is holding crossfires and holding angles. Guys, if you guys are able to crossfire and hold angles on maps that you're very familiar with, that's huge advantage. Guys, like, for example, if you're lancering somebody across the map because they don't have any angles to hold cover and you're flanking behind them, guys, you're going to be able to win the game mode most of the time in Execution. Now, you need a team that's able to hold angles, able to hold positions, and able to spot enemies for you to tell you where your enemies are at. Communication is the key in Execution, guys. I cannot express how important it is. And not only that, since every new Gears of War title, I know is that people are not that competitive anymore. They don't like want to use teamwork a lot anymore. Back in the day, in Gears 1 through 3, there's many people in Xbox 360 days that use mics, but in Xbox One, you don't see that a lot anymore. It's kind of really rare, but since I'm using mouse and keyboard, if nobody's able to hear me through the chat room, I could just type and tell them what to do, or just tell them what's going on. But sometimes that really isn't enough. So, like I said, guys, crossfiring, holding angles and positions, and communicating with your teammates play a huge role. If you guys want to form a team, like, feel free to message people and see if they want to, party up. I can't tell you how important it is to do that. And not only that, like, be able to play with teammates that you're very familiar with gives you a very huge advantage. And eventually, it will help you become Diamond. But, guys, I'm going to tell you this right off the bat, even though Execution is the hardest game mode to get Diamond, I think Gears of War ranking system is kind of pathetic. Like, I find it very easy to rank up and become Diamond in any game mode. I don't know what it is, guys. It's just, I don't know why Gears of War ranking system feels very soft to me. But for any new Gears of War players that just want to jump to any game mode and you choose Execution, I strongly advise you to play Social Match first. This game mode is not meant for everybody in the first place, even though this is the first game mode in Gears of War. And the reason why I say it is because everything has really changed. Like, other game modes are being played more than Execution. And in my opinion, I think Execution is the way to go, but not for a lot of people anymore. I think the reason what it is behind is because many people don't care about competitive gameplay. They just want to play for fun, and nothing's wrong with that. Like, who am I to tell you what to do? You know, if you pay money to play this game, you have the right to do whatever you want. But my opinion, guys, is don't jump to execution immediately. Play other game modes and get used to the gameplay of this game. Unless you're a really huge Gears of War veteran, then you could go ahead and play execution, obviously, because you're very familiar with the gameplay. But this is towards people that are not very familiar in this game. So I advise you guys to play King of the Hill or Team Deathmatch, because if you're able to play those game modes a lot, then you'll get used to the Lancer and the Master Shotgun. And I told you guys earlier that if you master those two weapons, you're going to become a very hard opponent to take down, and that's a huge advantage in execution, guys. Now, guys, another thing I advise you guys is to stay together and overpower your opponents as a team. I can't explain to you how many times I see people just want to 1v1 battle against opponents without waiting for their team to all gang up together. I see this so many times where people think they could just out-nashor somebody else, and then if the opponent's better than you, then you're just get out overpowered. It doesn't really. This game mode is not really meant for 1v1 battles. This game mode is meant for teamwork, and I don't see a lot of that. But every time I know there's one enemy left, I always like yell in the mic and tell my teammates to just please wait for me, or wait for your teammates to all gang up together against your opponent. If you overpower your opponent, then there's no other way they're gonna be able to win. And I see this a lot where an opponent will, eventually clutch my team because they just don't attack the opponents one by one. I mean, as a team, I'm sorry, instead of one by one. It's so annoying. I see this a lot. And for example, if I'm alone and I'm against 4 or 5 people, I get very lucky sometimes, and people just go one by one and attack me, and that's why I like, because I'm able to take one point one by one a lot. But man, I see this so many times, guys. Please take my advice on this. I'm sure many people and many Gears of War veterans see this a lot, and I see a lot of hardcore Gears of War veterans that work together and combine forces to take on the opponents. I see this a lot, and they are really working as a team, and it just really surprises me how well they do it too. Another tip, guys, is that if you feel like you can't really engage your opponents because there's so many of them and you're left alone, just feel free to camp or hide. I don't see what's the problem in that if you're able to save a round for your team. If you see this clip, guys, you can see that my opponent tries his hardest to run away from me, and in very end he tries to kill me, which is very smart, but it ends up a stalemate. But anyway, guys, feel free to do that, because that's an advantage right there. I don't see nothing wrong with that. I don't see it as being a cowardly thing. But I do it once in a while when I really have to, and I feel like I can't really overpower my opponent. Also, if you saw earlier, I've been getting really lucky with the headshots and the long shot because I'm very familiar with how this weapon really works, and that people don't attack me all at the same time. Like I said earlier, you guys can really see the prime example of attacking one by one instead of as a group, and I cannot stand seeing that all the time. But guys, if you're able to master everything like crossfiring, holding positions, learning how to use your starter weapons, learning how to use power-up weapons, then you're going to become a very difficult opponent to take on, and I like to say you're going to become a much better player. If you're focusing and aiming on becoming a pro Gears of War player, by all means continue doing what you think it's doing best. But guys, I advise you to watch more YouTube videos on my YouTube videos or any other Gears of War channels. There's many good Gears of War channels out there that really teaches you and makes you understand how this game works. And if you guys really enjoy playing this game, then that's awesome. But that's it for today's video. If you guys noticed, this is pretty much one of my longest videos I ever made, because I just want to say and talk about as much as I can on this game mode, because it's really my favorite game mode, and it's pretty much the most competitive game mode, and it's the most hardest one to understand of all game modes. But I'm sure many Gears of War veterans know exactly what I'm talking about. But I hope you guys really enjoy this game mode, and I hope I provide you guys some really neat tips and tricks for you to survive and really last much longer in execution, and I hope eventually you guys become Diamond. But if you guys have any questions, feel free and comment below my channel and let me know. But bye bye.